Age of Fantasy Skirmish, one-page rules again. Yeah, I'm cycling through 3 different fantasy skirmish rule sets. This one, Anthems of War, and Fistful of Lead Fantasy, the full complete set. I missed out. They have a swanky hardbound, all 3 of these in a single book. I missed out on it by a few months, and I'm still kicking myself. I like to give myself a little bit of time. I record these well in advance, and I want to give commenters time to correct me. For example, I did shooting wrong in the last couple of videos of Fistful of Fantasy. So I'm going to wait for one more video to drop, take those comments in stride, and come back, probably, maybe next time even, and play another one. Particularly, I might work these cards into Fistful of Lead. I think this would be a good subsystem, and particularly for us solo wargamers, to give us something to have to achieve. When you go watch, go to Wiley Games. They have a YouTube channel of their own, and they've got a lot of long play 6-player. The nice thing about Fistful of Lead is it moves so quick. You can play a 6-player game with 5 figures per player, and it really moves pretty fast. Jay Wiley's a good guy. We like him a lot. We like his rule set, so we'll be back to it. For today, to save a little bit of time, I'm going to use the exact same forces as the last video. We're going to go undead versus orcs. I think the orcs are a little bit OP. Those ogres are terrifying. They've got 2 figures with tough 3, tough 6. That makes things really hard for the undead. To compensate for that a little bit, I'm going to give the Dark Lord 1 extra magic point at the start of the turn if he's standing in his front yard. This whole terrain base is difficult going, except of course for his tower. This, for those of you who are curious, this is just a large cork picked up at the craft store. These are wooden, I don't know what they call them. When you countersink a screw into a piece of furniture, you want to make it look nice, you put that on top so it's a nice little bead on top. And then just a little bit of cardstock for the door. Wooden ball on top. You know, it's all hot glued together, a little bit of sand. Look at that. Perfect. And then here, I'll show you what it looks like in scale with one of our boar riders. So a little bit out of scale. Probably would work better for a 15 millimeter, but it's more like a wizard's hut than anything else. The orcs are going to be attacking. They're going to deploy down here. The undead will be deploying up there, but you'll notice we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 objective markers. The stream is treacherous ground, except at the bridge, and there's only the one bridge this time. Check it out. If they deploy on that side of the table, they're going to be a little bit boxed in. But they're going to want at least one guy there so they can seize number 4. As we said before last time, the swamp is going to be treacherous ground. Oh, look, you have to go into treacherous ground if you want to seize number 1. The boneyard here is also treacherous ground. The only thing that blocks line of sight is the giant skull. See that? I bought a Halloween decoration and ripped it apart, slapped it on a base. I put a couple little tiny skulls there. I don't know if you can see those. Maybe if I bring it a little closer. Yeah, see that? Just to keep it in scale. So the giant's boneyard is not dangerous ground. It is rough going, and it does give you the +1 armor. Only this giant skull blocks line of sight. This is rough going, and then again, the trees and bushes block line of sight. So with all that out of the way, the next thing we have to do is take our victory cards, find out what our victory objectives are. And the orcs, now this is kind of an assault on the Dark Lord's tower. Kind of, sort of, but not really, because we're still using the victory objectives. The orcs are going to have, on the march, have no units from your army in your deployment zone. Well, that should be easy. And remember, you can only get 1 victory point per turn. Control objective marker 5. That shouldn't be too hard. And control objective marker 2 at the beginning and end of the same round. That one's going to be brutal. You're going to have to seize this with a Dark Lord standing there staring at you. Good luck with that. For the Dark Lord's part, he has control any 3 objective markers. That's worth 2 victory points. That's doable. We've got destroy an enemy model with the caster rule. I'm throwing that out because there are no enemies with a caster rule. The control objective marker 6, which is way down here, and control objective marker 3 at the start and end of the same round. All right, so now that kind of affects how we're going to deploy. By the way, one last thing I'll point out. When I set up this table, I specifically set a fence up in this corner to prevent the undead from being able to set up right near the bridge and bottle up the orcs right down here. They're gonna have to take, this only costs 1 inch to move across, or when you move across it, you can only move 6 inches. You can't charge across it. It is just over 12 inches away, so that first turn, you're not going to be able to jump right on top of the bridge, even if you're using those boar riders. The next question is who deploys first. This black die is my turn counter. The other realms, my local game shop, is turn number 1. The blue die is the undead high roller. Win tie, how about that? The orcs get to/have to deploy first. For those of you that haven't seen one of these before, we are playing skirmish war games in 10mm scale. By and large, even at this scale, it should be easy to tell what's what. Our ogre warrior is going to try to race up over the bridge. We'll leave the archers to seize point number 4. I got a question for you. Do you get 1 victory point for every marker you control at the end of the game? On a 1, 2, 3, you do. So in this case, you do want to grab victory markers. I probably should have figured that out before I did my deployment, but I don't think it would change anything. The big boy is backed up by the orc shooters. They have a 24-inch range. And then as we slide over to the right side of the battlefield for them, we've got our regular fighters. They're not quite so good. They're just like 5/5s, I want to say. Yeah, and then this is our war boss. He is an ogre with a huge weapon. 220 points today, 215 for the undead. He gets 4 attacks with AP 1, quality 4, defense 4, and he is tough 6. You got to do 6 wounds to this guy before he even has the potential of being knocked out of the fight. We'll use him to seize number 6. He's going to follow up. He's going to bring up the rear. That leaves the 2 boar riders to race up and grab 5 or challenge for 3, and these guys have cursed shields. You can tell because they've got little flames on them. Well, you can't because their backs are to you. These guys are from Cobblestone Castings range. These are from Irregular Miniatures. And I want to say the Minotaur is from Pendraken. I know the Ogre Champion over here is Pendraken. And I believe the rest of these orcs are from Irregular Miniatures. Deployment for the undead is a little more complicated. They said, fine, we don't want to cross that wall anyway. We're going to leave our archers behind cover. They've got a 24-inch range. They can reach anywhere that they need to. Our Dark Lord will start, and remember, we're giving him +1, so that's what the 3 chips are for. He gets an extra wizard chip. He becomes a caster 3, in other words, but he has to stay on this template in order to get that. If he moves off at the start of each turn, he only gets 2. We have 3 Royal Guards. These are the best fighters in the Undead Lord's forces. And then over here on his left, you've got 3 basic skeleton warriors. And these are mummies. It's a mummy with 2, like, I don't know, kind of Royal Guard, I guess you could call them. I don't have 3 mummy figures. It needs to be rectified, I know. We'll get there. And they're probably the worst fighters in the group. So we'll use them to seize number 3. And these other skeletons are going to just race up the flank to try to slow down the onrushing green tide. This is a game of alternating movement. The ogre moves up first, and then the mummy moves up. Then the guys with the shields move to seize objective marker 5, and these skeletons sweep up the flank. Then this is where I have to pause for a moment, because the Dark Lord now wishes to cast a spell. He's got a spell called Blade Curse. He's going to drop all 3. He really wants to get this off. He's dropping all 3. Now, spells are successful on a 4 or better. You pay 1 point to cast Blade Curse. The other 2 points give him a +2 on this roll. And with a 6, he is successful. Blade Curse allows you to target any 4 units within 18 inches. That's these 3 Royal Guards and the mummy. The next time they attack, any unmodified 6s they roll, no. It's called poison. On the defense roll for their next combat, 6s have to be re-rolled. Because I know I'll forget, I put blue tokens under the guys that have poison. The Undead Lord did move up to within 3 inches of the number 2. The general for the orcs is going to seize point number 6. It's now time to really... The critical thing here is that because it's alternating activation, we have to commit. The archers haven't fired yet, the skeleton archers. But if we bring these archers up, those skeleton archers can activate. Unfortunately for the undead guy, he's got to bring somebody up. He's going to bring this old boy up. Now, he can only move 6 centimeters because he's moving into the dangerous terrain. And that's going to put him right there, which is just close enough. So this Royal Guard is just close enough. But if he rolls a 6 here, I'm sorry, if he rolls a 1 rather, because it's treacherous terrain, he would have taken a wound. He didn't. So is he within 3 centimeters of that marker? I'd call that a big yes. You measure edge to edge for the base. Because he committed, that opens up the opportunity for the Orcish archers to move up to right about there. They're going to kind of hide behind this bush here so that they're out of the line of sight of those archers. And now look, they've got a pretty good field of fire into this part of the table. In fact, they have a shot at 21 centimeters, having only moved, well, did they move more than 6 centimeters? That might be an issue for them. I gotta stop putting trees so close. If they were right there, yeah, they're gonna have to pull back just a little bit more to here. Now that does put them outside of the 12 centimeters that marks this is the edge of the deployment zone. Remember, orcs get points if they're outside of the deployment zone. Even with that movement, the archers will bring the green ruler of doom down. Are still in range. See, we're tapping him. They are going to be hitting on quality 5, hitting on 5s. They get a single hit on that Royal Guard. Now, the Royal Guard has a defensive 4, but because he is in the rough and dangerous ground, he gets a +1 to his roll, saving on 3s, and that just saved him. We're going to do a little bit of a rack focus here. These other 2 Royal Guards are going to move to here, jumping up into the center of the table, and then we can bring these guys up 12 centimeters to here. We'll bring them around just a little bit more. This last guard is going to sweep down to there. Just a nice long wall. And then the last 2 figures that have to move are these boar riders down here. They're not going to be able to get close enough to prevent the undead from seizing this hold objective that they've got. But they are pretty dang quick. Now the question becomes, do we want to move close enough that we could be targeted by these skeleton warriors? The boar riders are not very tough, so we're going to leave them just a little bit short. They're not going to be able to reach that next turn is the problem. It is, I made a point to put it more than 3 inches inside the rough going because I wanted to force players, if necessary, to get in there and to slow them down. So this isn't just an open battlefield. Makes a big difference. Now that everybody's moved, everybody's fought, everybody's done everything they're going to do. Oh no, we do have one set of archers over here. These skeleton archers have no line of sight, so they're just going to pass. We move on to turn number 2. A little bit of paperwork we got to deal with. 3 spell points for the Dark Wizard. The green chips have been seized by the orcs. The 3 distant objectives have been seized by the undead. As far as scoring is concerned, the orcs have 2 options. They can take seize number 5 or on the march. They're going to take seize number 5. This might be contested in this next turn. Let's take the victory point while we can get it. The orcs have 1 point. For the undead, and then they do get a new card. Where did I put my deck of cards? Here it is. And I'm just going to take one off the top. And the one off the top says their new objective is control all objective markers. Yeah, good luck with that. They're going to be glad to have saved on the march till next turn. For the undead, remember they had seize number 6. Hey, they did that. So that gives them 1 victory point. They're going to hang on to that 1 victory point. They are hoping to hold number 3. They can score 2 victory points if they can just hold that for 1 turn. They also get a new objective, and it's control objective marker 4. Ooh, that's going to be a difficult one. They have to actually control it, not just contest it. Bear in mind, if you can contest some of these, if you can contest them, you can deny your opponent a victory point for that turn. And if you can contest and deny a couple of these at the end of the game, remember, if this was the last turn, everybody would get 3 victory points for controlling 3 objective markers. If you can just contest the one of those, that might be the difference between a win and a loss. The undead ran out of activations first, so they get to activate first on this next turn. The mummies move up 6 centimeters. They didn't have enough movement to get out of that terrain. They're only going to be able to move 6 centimeters on the next turn. Since we're over here, I might not do this if I wasn't playing solo, but I want to see what's going to happen with this combat. The orcs charge in. They pile in on that combat. They have a quality of 5. They get the first attack. Pretty basic troops here. Rolling 3 dice, looking for 5s. This one is also a 5. They get 2 hits. Wait. No, there's something else going on here. Those orcs are furious. In fact, I think all of the orcs are furious, which means they score 2 hits on an unmodified 6. We didn't get any of those, so we just did 2 hits. The skeletons are going to be defending on a 5 or better. They are undead. They have morale rules that we don't really use very much because it doesn't come up in the skirmish. Once you lose half of your units, but usually the units are just like chewed up but still active at the end of the game. This one might be the difference. Now the question is, do the skeletons want to counterattack? And I think the answer is yeah. The skeletons go ahead and say, we might as well just, since we're here, they roll a 1 and a 3 and get nothing out of it. Because they're still around, the warriors are going to have to fade back that one. They didn't do what they did. Okay, so now the skeletons can go, and the skeletons charge in, and they get 2 more attacks, but they only hit on 6s because they already attacked this turn. The orcs say, yeah, I might as well make my counterattack, and they hit on 6s. They get a single hit. That counts as 2 hits because of their... Wait a minute. Is that true? When charging, that only counts as 1 hit because they didn't charge. The skeletons are not going to be able to block that. They're going to lose a second man. Not looking good for them. That last remaining skeleton will have to back off 1 centimeter. It's the orc's turn now. We'll bring our scary shield boys up to jump this Royal Guardsman right here. Now, the Royal Guardsman does have poison in effect. This is going to be a rough fight for the orcs. Because they charge, the orcs get 2 hits on a result of a 6. They score a whopping 0 hits. The Royal Guardsman is going to counterattack with a quality of 3+. That becomes a 4+. He's fighting guys who have very spooky shields. He does have poison, so we'll get to that if we need to, but he misses, and the chargers are going to have to back off a step, which opens up the path for this Royal Guardsman to charge in, and he's going to attack. And again, his quality is going to be not good enough. But because the orcs have already attacked, when they counterattack, they're only hitting on 6s, they get no attacks, and we just back off. The last of well, that was the Royal Guardsman, so it is now the orcs' turn. They'll bring the ogre up 6 and over 6. He is hiding from those archers still, trying to get into the mix over here. The undead... Our leader could go, he hasn't gone yet, and the archers can go. I think that's it for the undead. Those are the only 2 options they've got. He used his... let me think about... Did he use his poison? How does poison work? When you must reroll unmodified defense rolls on 6, they get poison the next time they fight in melee. That means these guys... have already fought in melee. They had poison, but they didn't get any unmodified hits of 6, so that spell didn't do them any good. And that means our big boy our spellcaster could cast again and give them poison again if we want to burn all 3 spell points. You can only carry a maximum of 6 spell points. I don't know that we want to do that. So let's give smiting a chance. With a result of a 3, he fails. That is a 3-point spell that he tried to cast. The dark gods were of no avail. And it is now the orc's turn. And we got to figure out what to do with these 2 boar riders. We'd really like to get... we actually have 3 more units to go on the orc side. We also have the leader... 4 now that I think about it. because we haven't used the archers yet either. We could bring our boar guy out, but that's the 6 centimeters. That's all he's going to be able to do. So the last unit, there's 2 units on the undead side. We can bring this guy over to fight. I'm just going to bring him out, though, to be honest with you. Because if he charges straight in, well, he moved. So on a 1, he takes a damage, and he did not. If I bring him in and he gets pushed back into the swamp, he's going to have to make that roll again. So we're going to get him to safety. But which way do we want him to go? We could bring him safely around here and hope to do an end around. Maybe we could sprint him over this way. In fact, likewise, we might be in good shape to bring those archers into the fore. Of course, that opens the possibility for this boar rider. As long as he stays further than 1 inch away, he can get up to here. I checked. He doesn't have the movement to challenge for number 6 on this turn. But that does divide the attention of the undead. The archers will have a shot at this guy now. They're hitting on 5s. Where's the open spot that I won't knock things over? There aren't any. They're only going to get 1 hit on that boar rider. And he's going to make his armor check. He's going to take 1 wound. Oh, that was the difficulty. We probably should have paused him back here where he's out of line of sight. That might have been a mistake. So he takes 1 wound, and on we roll a 4, plus 1 is 5, so he becomes stunned. So we knock him over right there. But that does allow this boar rider to move up right next door, and then... Is there anybody else on the undead side? There's not. So we can bring these archers up. And where do we want to put them? I'm kind of thinking if we move them up 6, then we take a shot at those guys. Those guys are going to get a +1 on their armor. They're going to be saving on 4s. But we might as well go ahead and take a shot. So we're going to fire with those 3 archers. We're going to get a 1, 2, 3. Boy, the orcs are just not getting it done on the dice side. That's the end of turn number 2. Let's check for victory conditions. The undead control 3 objective markers for 2 victory points. That means they have a total of 3. The orcs are on the march. Have no units from your army in your deployment zone. They score 1 for 2 victory points. You can discard one of your objectives if you are losing at this point. The orcs say, there's no way we're going to control all 6. We're going to draw a new one. And so the new one they draw is control objective marker 1 at the beginning and end of the turn. That's going to be tough. And then to replace the one they got, shifting strategy. Roll a d6, control that objective marker. All right. If they control objective marker 3, that's that one over here, they can score another victory point. The undead draw another card, and they need to control objective marker 2. We go on to turn number 3. The game is half over, and at the turn, our Dark Lord still gets 3 of his spell points. The undead get to go first. The undead get their first activation again. We're going to bring this warrior, the Royal Guard, to stomp on this guy. If you're attacked while you're stunned, you're eliminated. The orcs get to retaliate by, what do we want to do here? We need to flood objective 3. We're going to bring the big guy up to here, and he's going to make an attack. He has 4 attacks with AP 1 and a quality of 4. He's going to get a single hit on the mummy, who does not get a bonus to defense because he is in melee. However, he will want to retaliate. The mummy has a defense of 6. He loses one of his guys. He does want to retaliate with 2 attacks. Poison is still in effect. Do we get any 6s? We do. That means there's no regen. Of course, we don't have any regen. And let's see, must re-roll unmodified defense roll. So we get 1 hit, and the defense roll is a 1. So the big guy takes a single wound and then fades back a little bit. The mummy has already attacked, so we'll bring this lone... Oh, do we bring the lone skeleton in? We're going to... Oh, these orcs are going to be able to move over there and take that objective marker, aren't they? So we'll do that. What are we trying to do? We're trying to get to objective. We've got objective marker 2. The undead have control objective marker 3 at the beginning and end. So we really want to defend this one. We don't have anybody that can get over there. Oh, that's no good. He's already moved. We could... Oh, we're in trouble on that side of the battlefield. It'd be nice to get over here. We're going to fire at these archers. And we're going to get not a single hit. So, the orcs will send the big guy into the swamp. That will force... Oh, that will force this... Well, first of all, we're going to bring this Royal Guardman. Does he have enough movement? We'll bring this Royal Guardman over here to try to take out that other Boar Rider. He gets 1 attack with a quality of 3 rather. So he hits with an AP of 1. That Boar Rider has a defense. He only saves on a 6. He fails. He's going to take... he's got the 1 wound. So 5 plus 1 is 6. He is going to be eliminated. And you know what I forgot? When you eliminate somebody, you can move 3 inches. So we'll bring him 3 inches this way. We'll bring this guy 3 inches this way. And the mummy still hasn't activated. He has. So on the orc's turn, we're going to... He's already attacked. We're going to attack this nearest guy. And they have not attacked yet. So that's going to be 3, looking for 5s. They get a single 6 because they are, let's see, they've got the scary shields because they're furious and they charged. They got 2 hits. Saving on a 4-up, the Royal Guard is going to fall down, go boom. He takes 1 wound. We roll for the effect, and he's merely stunned. And those scary shield guys, now he can't counterattack, even at the 6 because he's stunned, so those orcs are going to have to fall back. The 1, 2, 3, who has not gone yet? This guy has not gone. He's going to have to move into the swamp and challenge for the objective marker. Oh, you know, it's not going to work, though. Do we want to move him the 12 centimeters towards this one? He can't get close enough this turn, but he can stop right there and challenge for it on the next turn. They will lose control of that. He may need to just challenge for it to deny that 1 victory point to the orcs. I did not roll to see if he takes a hit. On a 1, he does. I rolled a 3. And the other guy rolls a 4, so no hits for that treacherous terrain. He does not want to fight. He's perfectly content to just deny the ogre. He's going to force the ogre to come in after him. And the only guy left to go is our skeleton over here, who will... Oh, and these guys haven't gone yet. Speaking of, it's their turn, so they're going to move 6 centimeters to take up position on this objective. That's going to force this skeleton to cruise over and make 1 attack. On a 1, he's going to fail. They will counterattack, and they're going to get a total of 3 hits against that skeleton. He needs to defend on 5s. He's only going to get 1 defense. He takes 2 wounds. Whoop. So we roll a single d6. 4, 5, 6. He is eliminated. And that's useful because that means these guys can move 3 centimeters to here. And they will be able to get out of the hazardous terrain. I don't know if they'll get close enough to challenge, though. That will be interesting on the next turn. Is there anybody that hasn't gone yet? Yeah, as a matter of fact, the big guy hasn't gone yet. He's going to cast... He's going to have to come out, and he needs to be within 6 centimeters. So he comes to the edge of the hazardous terrain, and he's going to cast Desiccation. Enemy unit within 6 inches takes 1 hit with AP2 and Deadly. Well, first of all, that is a 2-point spell that he's juicing by 1, so it will be successful on a 3 or better. With a 5, he's successful, so they take 1 hit with AP2, and Deadly 3 means assign each wound to 1 model and multiply it by 3. So he did 1 hit, he's doing 3 hits on a single model. That model has to save 3 times. I don't know that worked. We probably should have used that. A smarter ploy would have been to move 6 centimeters to here and blast this guy. Now that I understand what that spell does, I wish I could take that back. But hey, one more model gone is one more model gone. We're not complaining too hard about it. That will end the turn. So at the end of turn 3, we check victory conditions. The orcs deny the undead objective 1. They've stolen objective 3, and stealing objective 3 nets them 2 victory points, putting them up to 4. But the undead control objective marker 2, so they score a victory point, and that brings them up to 4 points as well. The orcs get a new objective, and they want to control objective marker 1. The undead would like to destroy 1 enemy unit. So they're just out for blood on this turn. If they can hold, the only other thing they can do is try to seize objective marker 4, which will be really tricky. The undead get to go first. The Dark Lord gets his 2 spell points, and we'll go ahead and cast that spell again. Let's try to desiccate. If we can move... No, we'll move the 6 centimeters over to here, and this time... So let's check his movement. He can only get to here, and he's out of range of the big guy. All right, well, is he close enough to these guys? He's not, so we are going to have to blast these guys again. Checking to see if we're successful. We're not. The Dark Lord has gone. This is the last round. The orcs get to go next, and he does not factor in. So they're going to charge. Well, he's not going to block their movement. They're going to move up to contest for this, which opens them up to bow fire. And with a couple of 6s, they have to make a couple of saves. They fail both of those saves and are reduced down to just 1 guy. That's okay. They can deny that 1 victory point. That was our undead. So the orcs are going to bring these orcs down here and attack. That's 2 attacks on the mummy. They get 1 hit. The mummy is going to save with a 5, not a reroll. So nothing happens there. The orcs have to back off. The mummy will move over to here to contest for the objective, which will pull this big guy over to make his 4 attacks. And he's going to get 2 hits. Does he have anything else? He's a hero, and he's tough. 6. So he will get 2 hits. The mummy is going to fail both of his saves. He's got a defense of 6. This is AP1. He needed 6s to save. And that's going to eliminate his bodyguard. And the mummy himself is going to have to pass a stun check. He's stunned, meaning he no longer, we needed to pass that. He no longer defends or counts as challenging for the objective marker. If you're bleeding out in front of it, you don't control it. Them's the breaks. The undead now get to go, and we can bring him up to within 3 centimeters. Can he get close enough? How far is he from this objective marker if he stands right there? He is 2 centimeters away, but he's less than 1 centimeter from this guy, so he's going to have to fight if he wants to challenge. Let's fight this guy, though. We'll fight the scary shield. I think we need to preserve this one more than we need to do anything else. He does have the movement for that. He's going to roll a 4, which will hit that orc. The orc is going to fail his save, so the orc has to see what happens to himself. He rolled a 2. He rolls a 1, so he is merely stunned, but that orc no longer counts as challenging for that objective marker. We haven't done this battle down here yet, and we haven't fired our arrows. The undead went. We're comfortable standing there. No, we need to seize it. We're going to squash him. So we're going to move into combat, and we don't take a wound for the treacherous terrain. That big ogre gets 2 attacks at quality 4. He's going to get a single hit, and with a failed save, we check for wound status, and the Royal Guardsman now, he loses the poison, I think, because this is his first combat. He doesn't get to counterattack because he is stunned, and our big boy is going to drop back just the 1 centimeter. Now, he's already moved this turn, so we don't have to roll again. I think that's the end of the turn. The only other thing we could do is we have these 3 archers down here who can shoot at these 3 archers. They're only going to score a single hit, and those archers are going to be saving on a 4 or better. With a 5, they're going to save, so that does nothing. And that's the end of the game. That's the end of turn number 4. Oh, I forgot to turn my turn marker over, didn't I? Boop. So that was turn number 4. And we have to check our victory conditions. The undead maintain control here, but they lose control here. And I think that's it. So if I pull back and show you the whole table here, we'll come up a little bit further too. The orcs have seized objective 1, netting them an extra victory point. The undead needed to hold. They don't have any. Do they control 4? They do not. Did they destroy 1 enemy unit? They did. They destroyed. Well, they didn't destroy those warriors. This guy's bleeding out. He's not destroyed. They didn't. They really needed. They should have overwhelmed 1 single unit. So no more victory points for you. The orcs now wind up with 5 victory points in addition to the 5 that they got from the cards. That's 10 victory points. The undead have just 1 plus their 4 for 6. So 6 to 10, the orcs, despite some terrible combat rolls, because they were far more aggressive, because they seized the initiative, and our Dark Lord stood back there. One of the things I forget is that Dark Lord is pretty terrifying. He has quality 3, defense 4. He is tough 3. He can take a couple of punches. I might have wasted my points buying him as a spellcaster. He's got 3 attacks per turn. He's got AP 1. Spending every action casting spells might be wasting his primary ability as a frontline fighter. Still, all in all, a very interesting game. Kind of combines the best of rank and flank with individual skirmish games. And kind of a delight. A little different, very robust. You can add in all kinds of victory objectives. You can, our little game over here of giving him a couple of extra points helped, I think. But again, when you've got 2 guys with tough 3, they're brutal, man. It's hard to get anything done in the face of such. What can undead men do in the face of such toughness? I don't know. Something to aspire to anyway. Till next time, I'm praying for you.